The test before the badge. Murphy's coffee smelled of roasted beans and early ambition that morning. It was 7 a.m., 3 days before Chief Diane Washington was to take command of the Riverside Police Department. Dressed in civilian clothes, she sat quietly in the corner, tablet in hand, reviewing personnel files. The plan was simple: observe her soon-to-be officers incognito before she officially took charge. The bell above the door gave a sharp chime as two uniformed officers swaggered in, the sound of their duty belts breaking the cafe's calm. Officers Brad Kowalski and Mike Brennan, names Diane already knew from her digital files. Their reputations preceded them: disciplinary issues, excessive force complaints, and community distrust. She had read their records the night before. Now, she was looking at the real thing. Kowalski spotted her immediately, the only black woman in the morning crowd. His smirk was the kind that came from habit, not humor. Well, he drawled, looking comfortable for someone who doesn't belong here. Diane looked up from her tablet, noting badge numbers and posture, her voice even. "Excuse me." He leaned over her table, breath heavy with cheap coffee. "This isn't that kind of shop, sweetheart. Starbucks is downtown." "I prefer Murphy's," she replied calmly. "Do you? Or are you casing the place?" His eyes dropped to her tablet. "Nice tech. Probably stolen." Without flinching, Diane closed the file. Ironically, it was his disciplinary record she'd been reading. "Officers, I'm just having coffee." Brennan circled behind her like a shark, sniffing for weakness. "Defensive," he muttered. "Definitely hiding something. Let's see some ID." Diane's pulse quickened, but her movements stayed deliberate. 25 years in law enforcement had trained her to recognize predators, even when they wore the same badge she did. She opened her bag slowly, choosing to pull out her driver's license, not her badge. "Not yet." "Kowalski," Brennan said, squinting. "Maryland license. Long way from home." "I just moved here," Diane replied. "For what?" "We don't need more of your type causing problems." The phrase hung like smoke. Around them, patrons shifted uneasily. The owner, Murphy, wiped the same mug for the third time, torn between fear and conscience. A mother across the room whispered for her child to stay close. Diane straightened, steady but simmering. "Am I being detained?" "Don't get smart," Kowalski snapped. "Sit down." "On what grounds?" "Suspicious behavior. Possible theft." His hand hovered near his taser. "I have a receipt," she said, voice sharp with restraint. "Receipts can be faked," he sneered. "You people are good at that." The shop froze. Even Brennan looked away, discomfort flickering across his face. Then, from behind the counter, a voice broke through. The young barista Emma spoke up, trembling but brave. "Officers, she's been here every morning this week. She tips well. She's done nothing wrong." "Miss, step back. Police business." "But," I said, "step back." Kowalski barked, making everyone jump. That was enough. Diane began recording. "Officers Kowalski and Brennan, badge numbers 4782 and 3296, she said clearly. "I'm documenting this interaction." Brennan lunged forward, slapping the phone from her hand. It clattered to the floor, the screen cracking as it skidded. "You don't record us," he growled. Diane met his eyes. "That's assault, Officer Brennan. That's protecting ourselves from your kind's false accusations." Murphy stepped forward, his voice tight. "Officers, please, she's a paying customer. You want us to start checking your permits, Murphy?" Kowalski threatened. "Health code? I bet we'd find something." The owner recoiled, fear written across his weathered face. Diane retrieved her damaged phone and kept recording. "I'm leaving now," she said. Kowalski moved to block her path, chest out like a barrier. "Not until we check that tablet serial number." "You need probable cause," she said evenly. "I've got all the cause I need. You're black, defensive, and in the wrong neighborhood." The entire cafe went silent. He'd said out loud, and the phone was still recording. At that moment, Sergeant Lisa Torres entered for her morning coffee. Her instinct screamed as she took in the scene, the tense standoff, the fear in the air. "Kowalski." "Brennan." "What's going on?" "Suspicious individual," Kowalski said, refusing to cooperate. Torres's eyes flicked to Diane, professional, composed, intelligent. Nothing about her matched the claim. "Ma'am, are you okay?" Diane's tone was calm but cutting. Your officers detained me without cause, assaulted me, and made racist statements. She's lying. Brennan barked. She's got stolen property. Did you run the serial number? Torres asked coolly. Silence. Then how do you know it's stolen? Experience, Kowalski muttered. They all steal. Torres's jaw tightened. Officers step outside. But, Sarge, now. As they left, Brennan grumbled loud enough for all to hear. This is why women shouldn't be supervisors. Too emotional. Torres ignored the jab and turned to Diane. Ma'am, I'm so sorry. Let me buy your coffee. That won't be necessary. Sergeant Torres. Torres froze. How do you know my name? Diane pulled a badge from her jacket. Federal, not local. Diane Washington, former DOJ, Civil Rights Division. I've been reviewing your department. The color drained from Torres's face. That's the point, Sergeant, Diane said softly. To see how officers behave when they think no one's watching. Outside, Kowalski and Brennan laughed, convinced they'd scared off another troublemaker. They had no idea they'd just sealed their fate. 3 days later, the Riverside Police Department auditorium buzzed with restless anticipation. The entire force was gathered for the introduction of their new chief. Mayor Williams, sweating under the stage lights, smiled broadly. Please welcome your new chief of police, Diane Washington. The room went still as Diane entered full dress uniform, medals gleaming, Navy Cross, Distinguished Service Medal, DOJ Excellence Award. Kowalski's coffee slipped from his hand, shattering on the floor. Brennan went pale. Good morning, Diane began. Some of you have already met me. Officers Kowalski and Brennan certainly have. A ripple of whispers spread through the crowd. 3 days ago, she continued, these officers detained me without cause, threatened me, and made explicitly racist remarks. All recorded. She pressed play. Kowalski's voice filled the hall. You're black, defensive, and in the wrong neighborhood. The sound echoed. The silence that followed was heavier than gunfire. Sergeant Torres intervened professionally. She will receive a commendation, Diane said. Kowalski and Brennan are suspended pending termination. You can't do that, Kowalski shouted. You entrapped us. I was having coffee, Diane replied. You harassed a citizen. The fact that citizen turned out to be your new chief doesn't change what you did. A union rep tried to interject. Chief Washington, this feels like retaliation. No, she said, voice firm. It's accountability. She turned to the screen again, revealing statistics that silenced even the skeptics. Black drivers stopped 5 times more than white drivers. Use of force against minorities 7 times higher. That ends today. Brennan tried one last stand. You set us up. No, officer. I gave you a chance to show me who you are. You did. Captain Rodriguez rose. Chief, many of us welcome reform. Good, she said, because everyone will be retrained. Body cameras mandatory. Civilian oversight restored. And anyone who can't serve all citizens equally can resign right now. 4 officers walked out. Diane noted their names. She had expected as much. Anyone else? She asked. Silence. Then let's begin. 6 months later. Murphy's coffee felt lighter these days. Laughter replaced tension, and the morning air carried the sound of trust being rebuilt. Diane sat at her usual corner table this time, in uniform meeting with community leaders. Emma, now confident, brought her coffee with a grin. Chief, the neighborhood feels different. Safer. That's the goal, Diane said. Deputy Chief Torres arrived, setting down her own cup. Complaints are down 60%. Community trust surveys up 40%. And Kowalski and Brennan? Their lawsuit was dismissed. They're doing mall security in Ohio. Murphy approached with Diane's order on the house, as always. Chief, I owe you an apology. I should have stood up for you that day. You were scared, she said kindly. They made you fear your own protectors. That's what we're fixing. Just then, a young black girl approached shyly. Chief Washington, my mom says you're why the police don't scare her anymore. Diane smiled, kneeling to meet her eye level. Police should never scare good people, sweetheart. Only bad guys should worry. As the girl skipped away, a documentary crew in the corner caught Diane's reflection in the cafe, window steady, proud, and unflinching. They thought they were harassing a vulnerable black woman, she told the interviewer softly. Instead, they showed exactly why this department needed new leadership. She glanced toward the precinct in the distance. Sometimes, the best way to fix a system is to see it through the victim's eyes first and then change it from the top.